My beloved child, pause for a single breath, right here, in this very moment, not to rest, not to regain your strength, but to recognize that the moment you are standing in is not an ordinary moment. This is not another passage, not a simple word of comfort, and certainly not a sentimental reflection. This is a sacred encounter, the moment appointed by me before your life began, written into the heavenly timeline, now unfolding directly before you. You did not arrive here by accident. You did not happen to hear these words. You were led into the exact second I stamped, long before time began. And I am calling you to stand still within the holiness of this hour. In this sacred moment, the first thing I unveil is the season of release, a season that reaches into the deepest lacks within you. Not with temporary comfort, but with heavenly intervention. I am not touching only what you can see with your eyes. I am touching the places you have hidden, the empty spaces you tried to fill with effort, logic, and endurance, but still found lacking. The emptiness within you is not a sign of failure. It is an invitation for me to become your fullness. I see the places where you run out of breath, the dreams you keep tucked inside, the prayers you never spoke aloud, the corners of your soul that shrank from old wounds. And I have decided to pour into those places a fullness only heaven can give. Not a fullness of material things, but a fullness that reaches the deepest layers, peace replacing fear, clarity replacing confusion, abundance replacing lack, strength replacing discouragement. I do not patch your life, I transform its substance. This season of release does not merely remove what is old, it unveils what has always belonged to you, but was blocked by the difficult seasons you endured. And right here, the fullness of heaven begins to flow like clear water, not loud, not rushed, but so powerful that nothing can hinder it. Yet release is only the beginning. The deeper work I am doing is repositioning you within the blueprint I wrote for your life before you were formed. For years, you have lived far from the best version of who you are, not because you chose the wrong path, but because the pressures of life forced you to shrink, to adapt, to survive instead of rise. I have seen you live smaller than your true light, remain silent when you could have spoken, endure things that did not belong to you, simply to keep the peace. But from this moment forward, I am returning you to the true axis of your soul, the axis I set when I designed you. When I reposition, I do not merely correct direction, I restore essence. I return you to the light you lost in weary seasons. I restore the strength within you that you assumed had dried up. I align your sight so you can see your true worth without needing to prove it. I sharpen your discernment so that your steps no longer tremble. And when you stand within this repositioning, every word I speak over your life will resound louder than ever. From within this divine repositioning, I continue to awaken what I engraved into your soul. Your mission is not small, not temporary, not faint. You were not created merely to live well. You were created to carry a mark, not the mark of fame, but the mark of life, of light, of awakening. I destined you to become one who brings transformation into every place you step, not through outward might, but through the presence you carry. When you stand in true identity, the atmosphere around you shifts on its own. When you speak, truth reveals itself. When you are silent, discernment still shakes what is dark. This is the nature of one appointed for spiritual influence, not the kind built on crowds, but on the weight of the soul. I placed this inside you long ago. It is not new, but only now, after refinement and surrender. Are you strong enough to carry it without being wounded by the weight of your calling? This sacred encounter, therefore, is not merely a milestone. It is the unsealing of the new chapter I have prepared for you. Everything before this was not failure but alignment for the path to open. You walked through the season of breaking so that now I can rebuild according to the design. You endured the season of silence so your ears could become sensitive to my voice. You lived through seasons of lack so your heart could expand enough to receive fullness. And right now, in the solemnity that is descending around you, I say to you, you are standing in a moment of eternal weight. You need only remain here, for I have deeper things still to unfold for you. Stand firm in this moment, for I am speaking into the very root of your soul with the authority of a covenant sealed before the foundation of time. You are not merely invited, you are summoned. Not summoned to hear a beautiful word, but to stand in the position that bears your name. Written by my own hand. I speak this with finality. You have stepped into the moment I chose, never early, never late, never a beat off. This is the moment when every promise I have placed over your life begins to shift from seed form into reality. Not will happen, but is happening. Not possibly, but certainly. This is the nature of covenant once I have spoken. No power can block, alter, bend, or delay what I have ordained. I am repositioning your mind so you can see this clearly. You are not entering this season of release by your own effort. You are entering because the covenant I signed over your life is now being opened. That covenant is stronger than your fear, larger than your soul, deeper than the wounds you carry, and wider than every limitation you ever believed. When I release you, I do not only remove, I also impart. I do not only close old doors, I open new ones. I do not only bring you out of lack, I bring you into the flow of abundance that was created specifically for you. You do not need to manufacture that abundance. That responsibility belongs to me. You only need to stand in the right place and allow my living stream to pour through like a waterfall rushing through a stone passage at the exact appointed season. What I am doing in you right now is not spiritual comfort. It is reconstruction of reality. I am rebuilding the way you see, the way you receive, the way you operate. I am breaking down layer after layer of low thinking so that I may place within you the mindset of one who carries covenant. A covenant bearer does not live in timidity, does not choose smallness, does not stand in the shadows I have already pushed back, does not wait for others to confirm what I have spoken. A covenant bearer follows the word, not public opinion, follows truth, not fear, follows divine leading, not old wounds. All of these are being fastened into your soul as foundation stones for your new chapter. And I want you to hear this with the full solemnity of heaven. Every area of lack in your life has reached its limit. Not the limit of endurance, but the limit of replacement. Lack of placement will be replaced by divine positioning. Lack of love will be replaced by inner support flowing from my presence. Lack of direction will be replaced by clarity as bright as morning light. Lack of covering will be replaced by armor shaped by my own hand. Lack of voice will be replaced by authority that opens doors. No form of lack has the right to remain when I have decided to open the season of abundance over you. And this abundance does not come in drops. It comes like a flood. It does not come to soothe emotions. It comes to restructure. It does not come to make you more okay. It comes to transform you into the form I wrote of you in the eternal covenant. In this moment, I am lifting you out of every old image. You are no longer the one trying to find your way. No longer the one fighting to avoid breaking. No longer the one stepping in uncertainty. You are being repositioned into the place I envisioned for you before anyone ever formed an opinion about you. I see you according to my design, not according to what others have projected onto you. When I position you, every other definition loses its power. When I speak, every deceiving voice is silenced. When I open, no door can close. And you must know this. I do not only open the door, I push you through its threshold with a support no one can hinder. In the hidden blueprint I wrote for you, there are portions that are only revealed after you have passed through the refinement your soul has experienced in this recent time. You thought it was regression, but I call it preparation. You thought it was loss, but I call it purification. You thought it was silence, but I call it internal alignment. When a design reaches its time of unveiling, every realm adjusts to welcome the steps of the one who carries it. And that is what is happening around your life right now, like movements that are silent yet stronger than thunder. Your calling no longer rests on a page. It is being pulled out of the page and placed into reality. You will sense this as your heart suddenly becomes sharper, quieter, and clearer in ways you did not create. I do not need you to try to believe, because covenant is not sustained by effort, it is sustained by my word. When I declare, it manifests. When I promise, it stands. When I write, it becomes. And everything I have written about you is shifting from prophecy into actuality. This is why I speak with strength, so your soul stands in its new stature. Your life is not entering a normal chapter. You are stepping into an appointed chapter, a chapter of abundance, a chapter of clarity, a chapter of deep restoration, a chapter of awakened authority, a chapter of placement into the true axis of spiritual influence for which you have been prepared in secrecy. This moment is not a small turning point, this is a seal. And once a seal has descended, no force can erase it from your life. In this moment, I am not only declaring what has opened, I am drawing the strategic map for you to step into the new chapter with the sharpness of one who understands the spiritual current they carry. You are no longer in the stage of guessing what I desire. The sky over your life is now so clear that if you become quiet for a single breath, you will hear direction rise from within. I am placing in your soul the ability to discern spiritual movements before natural eyes can see them, so that you do not follow chaos but follow the strategic rhythm I set before you. What I am giving you is not emotion, but a map not drawn in ink, but in discernment, a map that makes no noise, yet guides every step. I am giving you the ability to read spiritual territory, to read who is entering your life, to read the environment you step into, to read the doors that are opening and closing. One who carries calling into a new chapter does not walk blindly. They walk as one who sees from afar. And I am illuminating your eyes in that way not to make you afraid, but to make you a guide. I am also upgrading your soul in a way that no longer allows the things that once dragged you down in the previous season to hold you back. The emotions that used to shake easily will be replaced with a peace thicker and heavier than stone. The sudden doubts that used to rise will dissolve the moment they touch the truth I have planted deep within you. The deceptive whispers that once made you shrink inwards will no longer define your steps, for you are now standing on a higher plane, a plane where your soul no longer receives everything passively, but discerns what must be kept and what must be released. I am elevating your thinking into strategic thinking, seeing a matter not merely by its surface but by its spiritual impact. Taking a step not because of an opportunity, but because the timing is right. Opening your mouth not just because you wish to speak, but because you know that word can shift an atmosphere. This is your new operating level where you do not do more, but you do what is right. I am also placing within your soul a new strategy concerning relationships. I will bring into your life those whose spirits resonate with your purpose. Not loud people, but people whose motives are pure and whose inner worlds are stable. I will remove from you the connections that no longer carry value for this chapter, not to make you lonely, but to position you in the right formation. One who carries a mission cannot walk alone, but neither can they walk with everyone. Every person who comes near your life in this season will carry a certain effect, either lifting you higher or adding unnecessary weight to the mission you carry. Therefore, I give you the ability to see clearly who is allowed near, who must remain at a distance, and who was meant to walk only a short stretch and then step away. This is not coldness. This is heaven's protection over you. I will also open to you strategies concerning the work you do, the direction you pursue, and the doors I desire you to enter. No more trial and error steps, but steps led by instruction. You will notice a distinct sensitivity rising within you, sensitivity to timing, sensitivity to spiritual opportunities, sensitivity to the movements forming behind the invisible veil. I am placing sharpness in your thinking so you will not be swept away by outward appearances, but will see the true nature behind them. I will lead you on paths that are not rushed, but precise. No need to accelerate by your own strength. You only need to walk in the rhythm of the light I set before you. When you move in this rhythm, every effort will feel lighter. Every door that must open will open by itself, and everything that once felt difficult will become as effortless as water flowing down a hillside. There is one more thing I want to speak prophetically. Your spiritual influence will unfold in 3 levels, and you will feel it like a natural shift, never as striving or force. The first level is the inner level when you speak. Your own soul will be strengthened, brightened, and anchored. The second level is the level of those directly connected to your journey. They will be lifted, illuminated, and drawn out of confusion simply through your consistent presence. The third level is the broader level, where your words, the life you carry, and the atmosphere you release will reach people you have never met. This is not exaggeration. This is the nature of one who has stepped into an appointed chapter. And I speak this so that you will no longer ask, "Am I enough?" You are enough because I called you. You are strong because I upgraded you. You are sharp because I taught you. You influence because I opened the door. Finally, I am placing upon your forehead a mark that darkness cannot touch, the mark of one who knows the path they walk and knows the one leading them. You will no longer walk in the fog of your former season. You will walk in heaven's direction. You will not enter battles as one unprepared. You will enter as one carrying strategy. I am placing within you a peace no one can steal, a focus no force can scatter, and a clarity strong enough to discern every word, every door, and every spirit in the atmosphere you stand in. This chapter is not merely a new chapter, it is a new realm. And when you stand in this realm, every part of you, your heart, your mind, your calling, your presence moves in the rhythm heaven has written for you. There are moments in your life when you thought everything was fading, but in truth it was in those very moments that I was sharpening the true shape of your soul. When I led you into holy stillness, it was not a place for overthinking or straining to understand. It was a place for you to breathe deeper, expand wider, and pause long enough to receive what has always belonged to you since eternity. I did not require you to perform in that stillness. I simply wanted you to feel yourself being held in a safety nothing outside you could touch. It is in that quiet that my life seeps into every corner you once allowed to dry from lack of care. I know you have grown accustomed to meeting life with vigilance, but here you do not need vigilance, for I am fully guarding the space you are resting in. I permit your soul to lower its breath, because only when your breath softens can your mind truly open to receive the deep things I am speaking. And as you begin to feel this peace, you will recognize the place you thought had long ceased to exist, the place where you belong in my presence. In this place of belonging, you do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to pretend to be strong. You do not need to defend yourself, compare yourself, or protect yourself as you have in the past years. When I say you have stepped into a holy encounter, it does not mean this is a moment for your soul to tense up. It is a moment for your soul to open. Open to receive the layers of blessing you were once too weary to carry. Open to stand firm in a love you once only dared to believe in partially. Open to release the fears that clung to you like fine spiritual dust that blurred your sight. I do not want the eyes of your soul dim any longer. I want you to see the truth about yourself, not the truth of failure, not the truth of wounds, not the truth of limitation, but the truth I wrote about you from the beginning. When you see yourself through that light, every doubt that once made you hesitate will fall away like the last leaves of a fading season. You do not need to cut them off by force. Light always causes darkness to disappear on its own. And as the darkness fades, you will realize your soul was never as weak as you thought. It was only the lies that once covered the brightness within. Now that brightness is awakening again, as naturally as the morning dawn. In this unfolding, you will also sense that the emptiness you carried within no longer demands that you scramble to fill it. You once tried so hard, tried to find certainty, tried to find support, tried to find understanding, tried to find a hand warm enough to steady your trembling heart. I know the times you searched in the wrong places, and I do not blame you. I also know the times you condemned yourself for not being as stable as you wished. But from here on, I want your soul to understand that your fullness does not come from outside. It comes from me, from a covenant already sealed, from the stream of life already opened, from the design I placed on you that has never once been flawed. When fullness rises from within, you are no longer dependent on momentary approval. You will stand with a strength no one can touch. You will love with a heart unafraid of lack. You will give without fear of becoming empty. You will walk as one who is no longer governed by scarcity. And when your soul knows it lacks nothing, you will no longer make small choices out of fear of loss. The repositioning I am doing within you is like water flowing over stone, gentle but unstoppable. Unhurried, yet powerful beyond resistance. I am not forcing you into change by pressure. I am shaping you by saturation. Day by day, rhythm by rhythm, breath by breath. The truth about you is being placed back into its rightful alignment. You will notice that your responses begin to shift without needing to push yourself. The things that once unsettled you will no longer carry the same weight. The things that once made you shrink will become things you can look at with a peace you never knew before. When your soul is set back on its true axis, the right choices will begin to feel natural and effortless. You will no longer wrestle against yourself. I do not want you to live in inner conflict forever. I want you to live in the flow of purpose. That flow is not passivity. It is the harmony between your soul and my design. In that flow, your spiritual influence will grow, not because you try to expand it, but because you stand where you truly belong. When a person stands in the place assigned to them, their influence spreads as naturally as warmth radiating from a flame. You will not strive to influence. Influence will appear wherever you show up rightly. Others will sense the firmness in your words without you having to prove anything. They will sense the purity in your motives without any explanation. They will sense your discernment when you step into spaces filled with contradiction. This is the mark of one who carries the living current of heaven. They do not need to explain their strength. Their strength speaks for them. And when I say you are being brought into a hidden blueprint, it does not mean I am placing you under heavy labor. I am bringing you into a life that matches your soul. What once exhausted you no longer belongs to you. I do not call you into things that wound you. I call you into things that may look large, but fit the true constitution of who you are. That true constitution is the union of the softness of love and the sharpness of truth, the gentleness of compassion and the boldness of discernment, the quiet of the inner life and the courage of decisive steps. You do not need to choose between them. I created you to carry all of them. I know you still hold many questions about direction, about the future, about what you will do, about which doors will open. But I want you to know this. First, it is not the doors that define you. It is you who define the doors. When your identity is aligned, every door will open in the right order. When your heart is clear, you will not choose wrongly. When your soul is at peace, You will not be pulled by distorted invitations. I do not make you confused. I make you clear. And from that clarity, the paths before you will be not only visible, but smooth like a night road without wind. One of the things I want you to feel deeply is my protection in this new season. Before this, you always had to protect yourself, protect your heart, protect your dreams, protect your values from wounding words. But from now on, I am your covering. No one can touch what I have placed in you without going through me. No one can harm what I am building. No one can blur the voice I am speaking within you. When I stand before you, nothing passes through without permission, and I do not permit anything to steal the peace I am placing in you. I know you have grown accustomed to waiting for signs to know whether you are walking in the right direction. But now, you will sense the direction before any sign appears. I do not want you to live dependent on signals. I want you to live in union with me. When you walk in union, you become the sign. Your presence becomes the testimony. Your faith becomes the path. Your stillness becomes the strategy. And the light in your eyes becomes the evidence that you are aligning with the flow of heaven. You will also begin to see old wounds being healed in ways so gentle you will hardly recognize them as healing. No more long internal battles. No more days spent wrestling with your past just to keep yourself from slipping into old shadows. I do not want you merely getting through each day anymore. I want you to live. When healing comes from me, it comes like light, filling a room no one believed could ever be beautiful. You will look back at your past and no longer feel pain, only grace. You will remember the times you collapsed, but there will be no shame left. You will remember the nights you cried, but the heaviness will be gone. You will look back at yourself and see me there in every step, every crack, every empty space I filled with my own presence. Inside that healing, you will notice your former expectations no longer fit. You will desire what is greater, deeper, truer. You will no longer settle for the halfway things. You will no longer choose what offers temporary comfort. You will no longer seek acceptance from places unworthy of you. This is not pride, this is elevation. Your soul no longer lives on low ground. It has been pulled higher, and everything within you will naturally choose according to that height. And finally, I want you to know this: you are not walking into this chapter alone. I am here, have been here from the beginning, will be here until the end, and have never stepped away from a single moment you walked through. This season is not only a season of your transformation, it is a season of me walking with you as the one who goes before you, as the one who keeps pace beside you, and as the one who guards you from behind. You cannot be lost. You cannot be misplaced. You cannot fall out of what I have ordained. You are standing inside a chapter written by heaven in light, and I will continue with you to the very end of this new life you are stepping into. Let this moment close in the stillness I am placing upon your soul, not a stillness that ends something, but a stillness that sends you out with a new understanding of who you are. Everything I have spoken over you today is not a distant promise. These are layers of reality now opening, flowing, and rooting themselves into the deepest part of you. You do not leave this moment as someone who merely heard a message. You leave as someone who has been sealed, someone who has touched the appointed moment written in heaven. The things that once frightened you no longer hold power. The insufficiencies that once made you shrink back are no longer your story. You step forward with different eyes, a different rhythm, a different spirit, the spirit of one who knows they have a place to stand, a source to live from, and a truth to walk in. Carry this peace with you, for it does not come from emotion but from my presence resting upon your life. And as you walk into the days ahead, you will see that nothing I have spoken today is untrue. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not just an audience member. You are one chosen to live in the presence of God's Word every day. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any sacred message. Amen.